Any driver engaging in rideshare, whether driving for Uber or Lyft that has their wits about them, will rightfully be able to tell you there are a lot of unforeseen dangers for every rideshare driver. Every time we take a trip, we have no clue what the outcome is going to be. After all, every passenger, every trip is a stranger, and we know what can happen when dealing with strangers. Today's description of an actual event between a passenger and driver is so heinous. All I can tell you is listener discretion is advised. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim with another very unfortunate ride-sharing video. Now, this takes place in Norfolk, Virginia. This is a female Uber driver dispatched to an apartment complex in that city to pick up another routine trip. This happened at the Azalea Garden Apartments. Now, one of the red flags we often talk about on this particular platform is the trip was at 4:30 a.m. So this female driver out on the road picking up passengers at 4:30 a.m. I understand a lot of my veteran drivers in many markets like this pre-rush hour time frame. A lot of you folks are getting the early people to work. A lot of you favor this. A lot of airports, the flights are starting to leave at that time of morning, 4:35 a.m. A lot of you folks like the wee hours of the morning, and this is the end period of the wee hours of the morning. A lot of you folks like those type of trips. Nevertheless, yours truly, I often state, I go by the guise that nothing good happens after midnight. So for yours truly, midnight to 5 a.m., I strongly believe that is some of the most dangerous times to engage in ride sharing. Nevertheless, this female is out at 4:30 a.m., routine trip. Immediately, this particular passenger, authorities have stated his name, Jonathan C. Beatty, 20-something-year-old African-American male, immediately got into the vehicle and put a pistol to the back of the driver's head and ordered this female driver to go to several different locations in Norfolk, Virginia. Now, we're going to discuss where that may go, because some of the details of this story and the details you hear about are horrible, but there are missing details that would lead you to put together pieces that show it may be even worse than what you hear. Nevertheless, I want you to hear what the authorities stated. While she was driving, Beatty allegedly ordered the woman to remove her clothing, and he sexually assaulted her. Beatty then told her to park in the neighborhood in the 800 block of Jerry Lee Drive, where he continued to sexually assault her at gunpoint, court records state. So he's having her drive and demands at gunpoint that she take off her clothing. So she's driving him to several different locations in the nude while he is sexually assaulting her. So she is literally being raped while driving a vehicle. So she's driving around, he's sexually assaulting her and holding a gun to her the entire time. Obviously, this would lead to the clear point that this is incredibly traumatic to anybody in ride sharing, but it actually gets worse from what we're hearing. Made her stop, raped her again. Now, in addition to sexually assaulting her and holding her at gunpoint, the authorities continue by stating, Bailey then told the Uber driver to withdraw money from an ATM located in the 1800 block of East Little Creek Road. Police said the woman purposely parked too far from the ATM to reach it through her car window, giving her a chance to step out of the vehicle. So the woman had her wits about her, the driver, deliberately parked away from the ATM. Fortunately, the gunman did not tell her to correct her driving and pull closer to the damn ATM. So he allowed her to get out of the vehicle and try to withdraw the money from the ATM. Now she's standing there trying to withdraw money from the ATM, possibly in the nude, or at the very least, clothes array and things like that, after being raped. This is awful. You got to assume this woman is standing there sobbing and things like that. Makeup may be messed up. Hair may be messed up. This is horrendous. This is horrendous. But as I stated before, this is an incredibly heinous event. And there are actually more details to show that despite what has happened, it gets worse. The authorities continue. Now, then the woman purposely tried to withdraw an amount of money she knew the ATM would not accept, causing a malfunction. She was able to use this opportunity to grab her phone from the car and run, according to court records. So, shout out to the woman for being smart enough to at least protect her income. She deliberately tried to over-withdraw, sounds like, from the ATM so that the ATM would not give the money. You do that 2 or 3 times and boom, you cannot use your card. So shout out to her for doing that. Hopefully the ATM, the cameras, a lot of ATMs have a video camera on it. Hopefully that kicked in and also took pictures, because most likely whatever video footage they have of her standing at the ATM shows a distraught individual. She's already been assaulted numerous times, held at gunpoint, forced to drive to several locations. So this is a prolonged assault. This didn't happen in 2 minutes. This is a prolonged assault while she's driving and things like that. Standing at the ATM. Now, according to the article, as you see, by parking away from the ATM, she was able to make the machine malfunction and try to run away. But once again, as I stated, it just gets worse and worse. Now, she did get away, but once again, according to the authorities, Beatty is accused of shooting at the woman as she escaped and then using her car to flee the scene. He was arrested by Norfolk police on April 6th. So after doing all of that to this female, when she finally tried to escape, he tried to kill her. So in addition to being held at gunpoint, kidnapped, forced to drive to several locations, sexually assaulted numerous times for who knows how long, he then tried to murder her and in the end took her vehicle. Authorities have charged this individual with 19 felonies. Good riddance to this individual. Good riddance to this individual. Hopefully Norfolk, Virginia, hopefully the state of Virginia provides this individual with permanent housing for the rest of his life. This is horrible. There's no other way to put this. To put a driver through all of this, having your car taken is by having your vehicle being carjacked at gunpoint is a traumatic event. Being sexually assaulted is a traumatic event. Having someone try to take your life by shooting at you is a traumatic event. But to go through all 3 of those at one time, you gotta assume this woman is no longer a rideshare driver. I don't care what her income situation is looking like. You gotta assume she's done with this as a way of earning income. The side hustle days are over with. But I just wanted to run this by you. There is no really good outcome to this other than the fact that the culprit was taken into custody. But 19 felonies on one human being. 19 felonies. They don't state what they all are. And I brought up earlier that you have to put together some of the pieces of this story because the authorities make it clear he forced her to drive him to several locations, which would lead to the obvious question, what the hell was happening at all of these locations? Now she's driving and he is at the very least groping her, could be assaulting her digitally. We don't know because they don't go into the full details of it, but most likely the ending stop being made where he, actually really raped her is probably because he was working himself up, doing all of this stuff to her while she's driving. This woman has to be psychologically damaged for life. Probably one of the worst stories featured on this platform from yours truly, with the exception of the driver down in Florida that was dismembered. But this is awful. Once again, the picture of the individual. Hopefully this is a good written salute to this young man to do this in his 20s. May have 50, 60 years of life left. Hopefully most of it is incarcerated. Why don't people think before they do shit like this? Just destroy. And by the way, I've stated this before. We are dial a victim participants. A lot of folks that are looking to victimize someone use us because they know they can go anywhere they need to be that may be advantageous to commit a major crime, and we'll show up. If you want to carjack someone and you need to find a perfect location to go to in your area where nobody is likely to be around, nobody will see you, you can go there, use the app, and one of us will show up there. We make for perfect dial a victim participants because we will come anywhere you want us to and show up to pick you up with a car you could potentially take, with potentially some money or jewelry. Who knows what the hell they're taking off of all of us, but we are being used by a host of criminals because they can request we show up anywhere they go. So I wanted to run this by you folks. As always, I do not advise being on the street in the wee hours of the morning. Certainly carry your tools on you, mace, poking, slashing, cutting tools, up to and including a firearm. Might have helped this woman. I don't know what somebody putting a firearm to the back of her head, but nevertheless, stay safe out there, folks. It's your boy Tim. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.